Thank you for attending the Harrington PPAP4AERO Consortium briefing. The registrations are interesting. There's no OEMs, a few big companies, but mostly suppliers. And we're going to try to talk about all their viewpoints because they're different. There's different things going on, but we're all trying to drive rapid defect reduction throughout the global aerospace supply chain. Standard webinar housekeeping, the phones are muted. Please use the question box for your questions and enter them at any time throughout this. The Q&A section is usually the most informative. You can download the presentation and other collaterals right now. And for those of you that need credits, there's a certificate of attendance provided. So here's what we're going to talk about, the supplier challenge. I'm going to use information from the AESQ supplier conference held at GE Aerospace in March of this year. The goals, what the consortium expects to achieve, what hurdles need to be overcome, who the potential participants are, who should participate, how many. The idea is a small focus group. The deliverables, what and when, the money, the investment, how much. And how much is both money, but also resources, time and money. And then some next steps. At the AESQ supplier conference I mentioned down in Cincinnati, Ohio, one of the slides they used was showing that the suppliers, which probably makes sense why so many suppliers are on today's event, the APQP AS9145 is the highest challenge. That's the voice of the supplier. And what this group has done is combine 9145 and some other material together into the new AS13-1000 spec. But Chapter C is the focus of what the consortium is all about. A better way to do the DFEMA, the product key characteristics, the process flow PFEMA, process characteristics, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, it's all about ROI. It's all about zero defect thinking. It's just what could go wrong, what could happen, what's the likelihood of it going wrong, and how do we manage the process to get what we're looking for. So laser focus, nothing more, nothing less. And the mantra, and you're going to hear me say this a lot, a tool better than spreadsheets, but not too complicated. The other challenge, and this is not unique to aerospace, but the people responding said on average, they support 3.75 different aerospace customers. And I had, you know, suppliers I talked to say things like, I'd be ecstatic if the engine OEMs would get a single PPAP tool. So why PPAP4AERO Consortium? What do we expect to achieve? Rapid deployment. And this is a challenge for the big companies. Some of them who I've been discussing strategy for 3 years, and so far the best they've come up with is no decision. Now, suppliers, on the other hand, like we see in the attendance today, they can act quickly, and they do act quickly. The other goal is simplify, and this is very important. Better in spreadsheets, but not too complicated. The other one is to minimize costs, but not just costs to the customers and suppliers. And the strategy is customers pay for integration into their existing tools, portals, whatever they're using. Suppliers pay for a license that's used by all their customers. So if I'm serving 3.75 customers, one tool can be used for all of them. The other one is how do we move from data to decisions? Well, there's like billions lines of data scattered in spreadsheets that are not easily available for analytics, and that must change. One way to frustrate the entire aerospace supply chain is to ask them for a bunch of stuff that's never used. The next goal, provide software that works. And what I mean by that is developed by people that have been using spreadsheets for decades, practitioners, not programmers that read a book, and not by QA or manufacturing engineers that never designed a software tool. But we got to get something that works, that the volunteers I've worked with that designed this tool, one of the stories they used was, well, we looked at all the highly engineered tools, the PLM tools, and the various things to do this. And every demo started with, first we do the DFMEA. And they stopped the guy doing the demo and said, we don't do DFMEAs. So the software demo person, kind of scrambles a little bit because that's what the book said, and that's how we created this tool. So he came back and said, well, use the DFMEA you got from your customers. And the volunteer next to him just laughed out loud. He said, are you kidding me? I can't even get DFMEAs from my own internal design group. So again, software that works with existing processes. And then leverage AI, we'll talk about that. And then, of course, maximize the PPAP ROI. I mean, if there isn't an ROI, then why are we doing it? And if we can't calculate the ROI, then maybe we need more data. And although it's been used to justify licensing this tool, just the labor savings, we can do better than that. Is MRV going down? Is captive effectiveness improving? Things like that. So what's the vision? First of all, the legal department said I need to state that all logos are owned by their respective companies and are shown for description of the global aerospace supply chain. There's no endorsement given or implied by any of these logos. Now, another interesting thing at the supplier forum was all major players have their own system. So how do we figure out a way to connect the global supply chain, get the customers what they need, the OEMs and the big companies, get the suppliers what they need to do this quickly? One of the comments at the conference, Amy Kodar, who was the president and CEO of GE Aerospace, said aerospace is about 10 years behind automotive. Well, and I know there's been some OEMs and some big companies benchmarking automotive, working with AIG. And, the first thing is, yes, automotive's been doing this for a while. But the OEMs are now saying, we don't want spreadsheets from supplier or documents from suppliers that are authored in spreadsheets. We want you to use software. We want you to use a database. Now, when the automotive industry switched over to a better mousetrap, I was the person recruited to lead the effort and worked with volunteers to build it. We're going to do the same thing with the aerospace group. Aerospace can catch up today, and I think we can pass automotive in about 18 months. What qualifies Harrington Group to do a project like this? This is going to be my fourth quality software consortium. I have a proven track record. This is one of the people in the automotive project, the ability to lead a very distinct group of subject matter experts with a lot of opinions through successful design and development and launch. That's what I do. I'm good at it. But let's talk a little bit more about design, development, and launch, the entire process. Again, when you're designing tools like this, you need the voice of the supplier. You need the voice of the practitioners that are trying to do this in your facilities. And one of the places that's overlooked and that I've spent a lot of time with is the supplier quality engineers. I mean, the SQEs are a very important part of this because they're wrestling just as much as you are with how to get the rapid defect reduction. And when it comes to development, again, it needs to be led by a PPAP subject manager or a project manager. And I don't mean just any project manager. It needs to be led by somebody who's been in this space and understand it. And with all due respect, developers are developers. But until we get them a thorough design document with the use cases, it's just a database schema that they got from the Excel files. I mean, any competent IT person can define the data schema. But how people use the software to create the knowledge from the data, that's the critical part. And by the way, I have a whole nother deck that talks about the issue about we've been doing FAI. Why do we need PPAP? That's another story. But, are we getting the ROI? Back in my early career, I was the director of quality engineering at a landing gear company. And, why FAI, why PPAP? Well, when we did first article with landing gear, the part was too small. I'd put it out in the sun, let it expand a little bit, and then we inspect it again. And guess what? We passed first article. But what we're trying to do with PPAP is, can you do it again without putting it in the sun? I remember the first landing gear that we shipped, a gear set, without any MRB tickets. I mean, it was a big deal. Now, interesting, maybe ironic, aerospace and defense created this. I mean, even though the automotive industry is best known for adopting the FMEAs, Ford did it back in the 70s because of the Ford Pinto issues. Other automotive OEMs followed. The first widely use of FMEAs was the military in the 40s. They developed a technique to reduce the sources of variation and failure modes in the production of munitions, and it proved to be highly effective. And once it was recognized that project risk was reduced by military, then NASA adopted it in the 60s. They used it to launch the successful Apollo and future missions. And then back in 67, SAE published the FMEA thing. So, again, if you're wrestling with this, why PPAP versus FAI, it can help. But the bottom line is we just want to review risk and develop a control plan that's repeatable. You can make the second part. And by the way, you can make it without MRB. So what is the current state of the art in aerospace? First of all, the global aerospace supply chain is very lucky to have organizations like IAQG, the International Aerospace Quality Group, and AESQ, the conference I referenced, the Aerospace Engine Supplier Quality Group. AESQ was founded back in 2012 when the top executives from Rolls, Pratt, GE Aerospace, and Safran came to their senior quality executives to work collectively, like the Consortium, to drive rapid change throughout. And the technical committee was created. I found the volunteers in both these groups to be very knowledgeable, friendly, and with a passion for helping suppliers. They're basically good people. If you don't know about these groups, check them out. Now, as most of today's audience is from suppliers, you're already seeing PPAP requirements and purchase orders, and you're getting a variety of stuff that's trying to help you understand and deploy. You're seeing customized forms where a customer felt the need to rename or reorder columns. I've had people tell me they're seeing forms that they get from the customer that have columns that isn't in any of the material. And yes, it's very, very frustrating. And I just want to keep reminding you, as much as it's frustrating to suppliers, it's just as frustrating for the SQEs. So the question is, how do we catch up to automotive today and pass them in 18 months? Well, we need to have a PPAP software maturity model. Aerospace is currently at 1.0. We publish books, we publish guidelines, we're getting spreadsheets, go for it. Now, the PPAP4AERO from Harrington gets us to 2.0 today. It's a better solution right now than spreadsheets. That's not too complicated. And, some of the big companies I'm talking to, look, if a better solution comes along in 3 to 5 years, then replace it. But we really need to get off spreadsheets today. Now, PPAP 3.0 and 4.0 is why the consortium is being formed, an industry effort to reach the goals we discussed. So remember, rapidly deploy. Stop talking about it for years. Do something. Simplify. And again, this is very important. Better than spreadsheets, but not too complicated. The volunteers that designed the Harrington PPAP4AERO tool told me that in every meeting. If you make it too complicated, I'm going back to the spreadsheet. Minimize the cost to both customers and suppliers. And again, software that works, developed by practitioners, not programmers that read a book, and not asking your team to develop things. I wanted, from a big company view, no matter how big you are, money's money. So if you look at, and again, I just made up these costs to just kind of put it together, I want to integrate with a bunch of different ERP apps. Hope, maybe they have one PL, maybe they have a bunch, maybe a homegrown MES and project trackers and quality tools they're using across multiple. It costs money. And we want 1,500 internal users, 3,000. The point of this slide is just to say, I don't care how big you are, $15 million is $15 million. But what if we could do something else, a new approach? The PPAP4AERO Consortium approach. So what exactly are we talking about? This is the model from the AESQ documents, and it's exactly what PPAP4AERO is focused on, a laser focus to help practitioners authoring the knowledge in the spreadsheet forms. Now, one of the things that I spend time explaining is we're really looking at digitization of manufacturing engineering, the people that are trying to do these tools, not design engineering. And the reason for that is, again, a lot of the bigger companies already have design engineering tools. They have very strong PLM tools that help on the DFMEA side. We're just focusing on digital manufacturing engineering. So again, the Harrington PPAP4AERO tool is proven, it's available today. One of the folks I was talking to, and it was a big company, their comment actually it was a group of SQEs. Their comment was, this is a PPAP communication platform. Now, IT needs to understand that doing nothing is not acceptable. And another big company, well, IT said this, well, IT said that. ITAR compliance, NIST cybersecurity, and so on and more and more and more. So my challenge, or my question back to them is, so you think it's better to do nothing to improve control of classified, confidential, proprietary data that's currently in spreadsheets? Come on. No logging control, no audit control, nothing. And, I guess my point being, don't confuse perfection and progress. Take a baby step, do something better. And what's just coming up, I'm just going through now, well, the current software vendor is going to add a PPAP module. And I said, oh, wow, that would be great. But when I asked about the details, who designed it? Who's going to put it together? It's, well, sometime in the unknown future, based on requirements that don't exist, and we don't know what the cost is. That's a high risk. That's when you're going down a path that says, anyhow, if the mandate is to have less software tools, force-fitting PPAP into tools just makes it worse, because I guarantee you they'll keep using spreadsheets. Now, today is not about a software demo, but if you'd like, you can go to the Harrington website. You can view YouTube video and a discussion with your team. I did a demo yesterday with practitioners. Most of them came from automotive. And after a few PPAP process questions, can you do this? How does this link? What if I want to? They were sold. They could see the screens and they assumed the data schema was complete. They wanted to know how to use it. How does it make it better? Not just different, but better. Well, one more story, a conversation with the SQEs at a big company. They want to know the same thing. How does it improve the SQE process? How will it help them help suppliers? And yes, of course, again, the common comments is I can't, for supplier quality, I can't even find the PPAP data. And if I do, I don't know if it's current version. And here's what the scenario they're asking about. What they wanted to do is to see the process FEMA and determine if the MRB item that they're trying to deal with was known. It was in the PFMEA and they missed it. There was a detection problem. Or did we not even know about it? And not even know about it happens more than you think. So these are the kind of conversations that will be a major part of the consortium. And remember the big company slide. Let's just talk about integration. So what kind of integration are we talking about? ERP, of course, I mean, purchase orders from your customer to your customer to your suppliers drive the process. And all everyone wants to do is we want you to make this part. We want to make sure you're ready. And this whole PPAP process this is how you're going to make it. These are the risks. These are the risks are controlled. And PLM, assuming that's the master source of product information. And again, the big companies already have highly engineered tools to do that. To emphasize, PPAP4AERO is designed for the voice of the supplier and your plant's making parts, not designing them. These groups think differently. They behave differently. They have different vocabularies. And that is what it is. Well, wouldn't it be really cool if a supplier PPAP request was preloaded with all the KPCs from the DFMEA? Again, that's the kind of things we're going to talk about with the consortium members. QMS software that's already in place, supplier reports, of course, Connect. Think of Harrington's PPAP4AERO as a plugin, an add-in, things that you're going to connect and put in place. And because of single sign-on, you don't even know you're losing it. You don't even know you're going into another app. You're already pre-logged in. It's just part of your current tool. And one-click links in these other tools can be added very fast for a minimal cost that provides the link to this add-in, PPAP4AERO. And again, using single sign-on, you're already in. The problems start when you try to force software that's based on design engineering traits into people making parts. It doesn't work. I've been studying this space for a long time. I have not seen a successful deployment. Now, remember, I didn't talk a lot about the Microsoft Power Platform. But the reason Harrington's been a Microsoft shop forever, and the Power Platform has powerful workflow automation that directly into your apps with a low-code, no-code approach that connects. And the integration costs for customers will go down significantly. Now, the other thing is, remember PPAP 3.0 and 4.0, how we can connect to failure costs, flow down of requirements, and all that. So you can either spend a year and a half trying to come up with your PPAP software requirement documents that you're going to give to people that probably don't even know what PPAP is, or start today and tweak as needed. I'm talking about tweaking. In the Microsoft Power Platform, you have the ability to go in things in that add-on that doesn't take you out of source code. It's not a customization, it's a configuration. We have a whole nother slide deck on the integration discussion. And again, that's what we're going to go through with the consortium members. So it might look something like this. And so for your company, take out the logos, put in the ones that work for you. Oh, and I'm sorry, again, for my legal department, all the logos are owned by the respective companies and are shown for description of the global supply chain. No endorsement is applied or given. Okay. But again, this is where some of the big guys are wrestling right now. IT is forcing you to use an app that doesn't work. Force, what I refer to as maybe not force, request a PPAP process audit. Show them the PPAP process, assuming they already understand the data elements. Some of the people on today's call are from the automotive industry, hired specifically by aerospace companies for their experience and expertise on the PPAP process. It's more than just what the data elements are in the spreadsheet. It's the process. And, I've been in the enterprise quality management space for almost 40 years. Be careful about when vendors say, well, it's just spreadsheets, we'll write one for you. Again, the column headings are easy. That's the database fields. But what, how, why, when is the critical part. It's the PPAP process. And the PPAP process is more than just spreadsheets. I had an experience where I was presenting at a corporate quality meeting from $1 billion global electronics company. I'm the ERP partner for quality. I was on the ERP's advisory board. And right before I get into the presentation, my sponsor comes out to me and he says, hey, don't say anything negative about the ERP quality app. And I looked at him, I said, they don't have a quality app. He goes, I know that, and you know that, but we just spent $5 million on it. That kind of stuff, just be careful. And again, if you're going to go down that path, who's designing the app, the voice of the user, who has the knowledge and experience to define the process. All right, back to analytics and AI. An aircraft has about 6 million parts. The folks at AESQ are focused on engines that may have 25 to 45,000 parts. Well, just think about that. If I have 30,000 parts coming from about 3,000 suppliers, I might have about 9 billion lines of records. In order to achieve zero defects, to get the ROI that we expected, we got to find a better way to put your data to work. And I'm talking about insights that are now available in a database environment. Give me stuff, give me analysis by customer. What's going on with this part? What's going on with similar parts? Show it to me by supplier, by the location, and just more and more. What causes a failure? Detection controls, working, not working, effects of failure. For example, wouldn't it be cool if you could just ask, what are the most common failures? And once you see that, they say, well, what detection controls are used in these areas? And are the detection controls used in other areas that are better results? I mean, all the things we think about, but are unable to do with a bunch of standalone, non-integrated spreadsheets uploaded into some project management app. Now, this is where we get the ROI, finding the ROI, connecting failure costs. We already had the story about, is it even in the FMEA? But, occurrence, wow, this thing is happening a lot more than we thought. Severity. I didn't think it was going to ground planes. That's a lot worse than we thought. And detection. If you're finding things in the MRB process, your detection's not working. So here's the thought. What if you could just do all that by asking your computer, like asking Alexis in your house to turn on the lights? And that's where AI starts to come in. This is PPAP 4.0. This is where we put data to work. Asking the question, interactive, not running more reports, not trying to come up with more, just talking to it. The way that, by the way, this is where the supplier quality engineers get kind of giddy, because this is their world. Now, in small businesses, this is where owners get pretty excited. This is where I can actually see value in all that stuff that I'm being told to do as a PO requirement. It just makes it. So anyhow, that's the whole pitch about the PPAP Consortium business value, what we're trying to do, how we're going to try to do it. let's talk about some of the commercial subjects, starting with deliveries. So after talking to one of the bigger companies, we have added an on-premise license is now included. They wanted the suppliers to be in the ITAR compliant Microsoft Azure cloud app, but they also wanted one on site for internal. And we said, fine, that's fine. It's also about the development of PPAP 3.0 and 4.0, the integration, the analytics, the AI. We're seeing, monthly consortium meetings however the group wants to do it. Of course, all centralized help, but what it doesn't include is software customization. Now remember, customization in the Microsoft Power Platform low-code, no-code environment will allow companies to, quote-unquote, configure versus customize. Consulting, training, deployment services. Harrington Group is in conversations with global training and support organizations that are very willing and able to support a global multilingual rollout. A lot of them are already trying to help suppliers. It's just a natural fit. And it doesn't include ongoing software licensing and host fees. And again, the idea is pay for only what you use, pay for only what you need. If a big company gives away 1,000 seats to their suppliers and the supplier wants to continue to use it, the supplier pays the annual fees, not the big company. Software licensing, 2,000 annual fees. Now, at $125 per user per month retail, that's about $3 million of street value. Now, as I mentioned, the on-premise and cloud can be assigned any way you want. So if you want to use so many internal on-premise, and so you decide however you want to do it. It also includes all the derivative works from the consortium, the integration, the APIs, the analytics, and all that. Harrington forever has had the philosophy, listen to what you want and provide it. Have it your way. The conversations that are ongoing, some more questions came up about licensing. Yes, it's 2,000 concurrent, allocate how you want. You want 2,000 users for 1 year, 500 users for 4 years. Well, what if we need more? Well, buy more when you sign the agreement and join the consortium, or you'll continue to get deep discounts off of retail. I didn't really highlight, but we need at least 5 companies to get started. The other question that's come up is, what if you don't get 5 members? Well, you still get the on-premise, the cloud's licenses or the deep discount, but it doesn't have the integration analytics and the AI, the PPAP 3.0 and 4.0. I'm very confident that we're going to get the 5 minimum members. I was actually hoping to announce the first signature at today's event, but lo and behold, they got distracted by IT that says they need to do all sorts of stuff. Resources. I am going to be the project manager. A couple of the companies I've been talking with, when they asked me my background, they said, you really should write that down, because they wanted to use it to support a decision to move forward with Harrington. Again, this is my 4th consortium. So there is a document on LinkedIn that I posted and does all this. The bottom line is this is my 4th consortium, and you know what? They're fun, and they're fast, and they deliver at less cost to everyone, customers and suppliers. Investment by the members. We need an executive champion or sponsor. We need a project member, and there will be support resources to help design, test, and review. I don't know how many yet, but we want the SQEs involved. We want the manufacturing engineers, the quality engineers. It'd be nice if we got some supply chain people involved. The members are going to decide all that. So the investment is more than just money. It's people and the commitment to participate and contribute. So what kind are we talking about? The first one that joins, it's a $300,000 membership fee. So for 2,000 users, we're looking at about $1,250 per user per month. Very reasonable. Why does it get more expensive as the members grow? Well, basically, the first member is the hardest, and they should get a bonus for being the early adopter and coming out. As the risk goes down, the price goes up. Now, again, for the big companies on today's call, remember that big company cost slide. Reduce the integration fees, pay for the licenses used. Replacing a $15 million project with a $300,000 consortium membership is a lot easier to get approved to get done. Now, member-only benefits. Again, you on-premise and hosted, immediate discounts on the PPAP4AERO app that we can deploy today, and the ability to provide input in the next generation, PPAP 3.0 and 4.0. Oh, I don't know if we have to go this in detail, but there are companies I'm talking about. I mentioned already, I've been talking to them for 3 years and they've done nothing. From a supplier viewpoint, you got to do something. It's on the PO. It's not an option. And, we're just going to keep using spreadsheets. Well, if you're benchmarking automotive, we might as well start at where they're at today, not where they were 10 years ago. And at today, they're already saying, we want you to use a database. They get force-fitted. The ERP guys said they're going to do it. Remember our ERP quality story? We paid $5 million for an app that doesn't exist. The PLM folks were saying we've got all that already. But again, it's trying to force-fit design engineering tools into a manufacturing engineering mentality that doesn't work. Every time I've seen that, well, actually, I was given a presentation at a number conference, and VP of Quality, large company, comes out to me and he goes, John, I've spent $5 million trying to use 3 different PLM tools to do this, and I never understood why it didn't work until I heard your messaging. Believe it or not, I still have companies say we're going to write our own. It's like, okay. Or you can take a proven stopgap solution today. So when you look at time and money, again, continuing to use spreadsheets really isn't an option, but you might force fit it. Yeah, it'll take you a couple of years trying to figure it out. Might be 3 to 5 instead of a couple. Write your own. Okay, good luck. Get a proven solution today. Get 3.0 and 4.0 in what I expect to be about an 18-month effort. Best-in-class demands, you have to replace spreadsheets. And the other challenge that a lot of people that are not the practitioners but higher up in the organizations, we've already digitized that. We already have a tool that we have all the tasks and we upload all the spreadsheets, but project management's not enough. If you want to get rapid defect reduction, you have to address the detail that we're talking that is focused on and deployed by PPAP4AERO. So again, the members will decide something like this, 18-month window, biweekly phone calls, quarterly face-to-face. Again, the companies that I think are going to join are already used to this. Spin-off, subgroups on integration, just kind of the standard stuff. Now, if you want more information, if you're wrestling with different subjects, again, go to my LinkedIn page, go into my articles. There's all of these were written over the last couple of years talking to people. One of my favorites is I was talking to the VP of Quality and Supply Chain in a large company. He said, well, that's a quality issue. That's not really a supply chain issue. I said, really? Do you ever have parts that show up and receive and you can't use them? Oh, yeah, it happens all the time. I said, well, how can that not be a supply chain issue. Anyhow, why do we make bad decisions? How to get it justified? One of the ones that really started when I started talking with supplier quality engineers is, you want to know how bad the supplier PPAP process is? Talk to a supplier quality engineer. Now, for the suppliers on the call, I've got some ideas for immediate action, like this afternoon. Engage your SQEs. Remember, they're as frustrated as you are. Ask them if they heard about the PPAP4AERO Consortium and share the material from this event with them. We need to raise awareness. Now, for the bigger companies and in general, let's have a call. Let's have a meeting to learn more. We can have a spin-off where we go through the PPAP4AERO software in detail, more than what's on the Harrington website. Identify the stakeholders, decision makers, confirm we've got some money, and get started. Get it done. It's time to stop talking about it and do something. Now, another thing we created based on our conversations is a proof of concept offering. The proverbial fork in the road, which way do I go? Well, let's take it for a test drive. And the idea is any money that you apply to this proof of concept is applied to your membership. So that's available as well. So let's see if we have any questions that came in. There's actually quite a few. Thank you. I'm going to paraphrase these. They're kind of long, but the point they're asking is what qualifies Harrington to support a project like this? As I mentioned, this is my fourth consortium. The first one was done at NASA headquarters. The second one was part of an automotive effort. I mean, this is what we've done. This is what we do. Next question is, just to clarify, members have the option of both an on-premise instance for all their internal stuff and supplier license. The answer is yes. This one, I don't think I can answer quickly, but it's how do we get management to understand that spreadsheets uploaded in project management tables is not PPAP digitization. I'll contact you after this call. It's not true. Again, we have a whole different messaging about that. Tell me more about the application of AI. The AI tools and technology, again, Microsoft, just invested, again, billions of dollars in the ChatGPT. I guess the biggest thing that I think is exciting that most people understand is, what if I could do my job without a keyboard? Again, asking Alexa to turn off the lights. I mean, just talking to the data set, just asking questions like what you're wondering, what you're looking at. AI is very good at large data sets, and, they create all the code or the tools. I mean, they create everything you need to get the answer. We shouldn't have to worry about defining reports, modifying reports, double clicking. We should be able to just talk to it. Who manages supplier onboarding? The Harrington Group will support and manage that. Members give us the list of names of who they want to involve and how they want to do that. A follow-up question from the same person. What suppliers do you recommend are given licenses? I mean, just a quick answer, there's two groups. The great, proven, early adopters, wonderful suppliers, and then the suppliers that are in trouble. My recommendation is you involve both. And again, these are mostly supplier questions, but for suppliers, can the PPAP4AERO data be seen by other suppliers? And no, of course, no. Absolutely not. Other customers, again, no, absolutely not. The access to your data is controlled by you. Where you send it, what you do with it is also controlled by you. Another question, can suppliers use PPAP4AERO for multiple customers? Yes. What if they're not aerospace customers? You know, it really doesn't matter. I mean, once you're in a tool that's better than spreadsheets but not too complicated, you can use it for whatever you want to use it for. And again, that's a value prop to the suppliers. Remember when I say suppliers pay their own fee, they get a lot of benefit from it. Who makes the final decision as to the members' input? Good question. Harrington does. Same as the automotive project I manage. I was the final decision maker. I am very happy to report that I never had to do that, because when you understand the process, you understand software technology, you grew up in a plant, you can relate to the people trying to use this. Every time we got consensus. One last question, and I find it very interesting because I hadn't thought of it. The question is, can a group of suppliers get together and buy a membership? Yes, I had not thought of that, but you know, what Harrington's trying to do is, again, do something today with a vision for moving forward. If there's a group of suppliers that want to get together and say, we want to join, now you don't only have one representative on the consortium committee, but yes, that's a great idea. Please do that. Again, thank you so much for the people that attended and for the people that are going to view this afterwards. Very happy to have a conversation with anyone to learn more. Thank you so much for your time.